Hey, it's Greg Lamb here, bringing you your cloud accounting news, reviews, and how-tos. In my other Bitcoin 101 for small business videos, I showed you how to acquire, spend, receive, and secure Bitcoin. In this video, I'm going to show you how to accept Bitcoin when you're running a business. But firstly, you may be saying, I don't want to deal with Bitcoin. Why should I use it? Why would you want to accept Bitcoin? Well, there's lots of different reasons. Some people do it in order to support the technology, just like how people purchased Toyota Priuses with the goal of helping to develop electric cars, and not solely for the immediate environmental benefits. Some businesses recognize that there are a lot of early adopters who want to use Bitcoin as a payment method, and by accepting Bitcoin, it can open up new business, especially for businesses that primarily conducts business online. There are businesses that do a lot of business internationally. Like email, Bitcoin is not constrained by country borders. Lastly, perhaps the most important reason is the fees, or lack of them. Here's another common question. I hear it's free to accept Bitcoin, so what are the fees? Also, do I need a Bitcoin merchant processing system? Can't I just accept Bitcoin directly? If you accept Bitcoin directly to a Bitcoin address you control, there are no fees. It's completely 100% free. The party making the payment may pay a small fee. The going rate is 0.0001 BTC, which is approximately 3 cents in US currency at the moment, but there's no charge for the receiver. This is similar to cash, since a business doesn't incur any direct charges to accept it. However, I think most businesses will probably accept Bitcoin via a third party, like how businesses accept money via payment networks such as Visa or MasterCard. The good news with Bitcoin is that the main Bitcoin processors, Coinbase and BitPay, don't charge a fee for accepting Bitcoin. Will this change in the future? I don't know, but if it does, I'm confident the fees wouldn't be nearly what discount fees are with credit cards, since there is no network fee involved with accepting Bitcoin. Another layer to accepting Bitcoin that businesses may not initially consider is that they'll probably want to convert a good portion or all of their Bitcoin into fiat currency. If the business is receiving Bitcoin directly via a Bitcoin address, this would mean they would need to use an exchange to convert their money into the fiat currency of their choice. There are services that are free, like Circle, whereas popular exchanges like Coinbase charge 1% for the conversion. Something else to consider is that since Bitcoin is a currency, the amount received in Bitcoin will not be the exact same amount they charged in fiat currency. So, if a customer paid the equivalent of $100 worth of Bitcoin, by the time the Bitcoin is converted into US dollars, it may be worth $102 or $95. How much it's worth depends on the timing and the exchange used, so keep this in mind when receiving Bitcoin directly. If a business uses a Bitcoin merchant processor to accept Bitcoin, they can instantly convert Bitcoin to USD with no fee charged for the conversion. To be clear, your customer pays you $100 and you receive $100. There's no transaction fees or currency exchange fees. Well, that's not completely true. While BitPay offers their no fees service for life, Coinbase only does the instant conversion for free up to $1 million in sales. After that, they charge a 1% fee. So yes, you can indeed accept Bitcoin as a payment method for your business for absolutely no fees. I should point out that a lot of Bitcoin users are aware of these benefits to businesses, and thus there is an expectation among certain users that a discount be given when Bitcoin is used as the payment method. So now you might be wondering, how do I account for Bitcoin? One of the major concerns of businesses who are thinking about accepting Bitcoin is that they don't know how to treat it. Is it a currency? Is it a property? Well, it can actually act as both, depending on how long it is held and by whom. The simple answer is that if you don't instantly convert your Bitcoin to fiat, it's considered property. That sounds like a headache to deal with, right? That's why right now, I recommend that businesses use a Bitcoin merchant processor. Both Coinbase and BitPay offer the ability to instantly convert received Bitcoin into US currency or other fiat currencies. This means that if you charge $100 for an item, your business would receive the full $100 in return. So there's no worry about having to treat Bitcoin as property and no worry about currency exchange fees. That being said, both services also offer you the chance to divide what portion of sale you want to receive in fiat currency versus Bitcoin. So your business could receive 90% of the sale in US dollars and 10% of the sale in Bitcoin. When you do something like this, you would need to deal with the tax implications of holding Bitcoin. How to do so is unfortunately above my pay grade at the moment, but I'd recommend getting advice from a tax accountant familiar with Bitcoin if that's the way you want to go. Accepting Bitcoin. Alright, so let's say you want your business to accept Bitcoin. What do? You have three options. Once again, my recommended option is getting a Bitcoin merchant processing system. Two of the most popular are Coinbase and BitPay. They're both fairly similar, so I'm not going to advocate for one over the other. It may be that a shopping cart you're looking to use integrates with Coinbase, so that's what you go with. Or it might be that the e-commerce site you want to add Bitcoin payments to does so in partnership with BitPay, so that's what you go with. The second option is to use a traditional payment provider that deals with Bitcoin. For example, Stripe has a beta program for accepting Bitcoin in place, although it's currently not open to the public. Other traditional payment processors that are or will be offering Bitcoin capabilities are Square and Braintree. And the third option, if you're familiar with Bitcoin and the tax implications, you can generate your own Bitcoin addresses and accept Bitcoin directly, but I'd advise beginners against doing this. Because I've had slightly more success with BitPay than Coinbase, I'll show you an example of how to get started with BitPay. The first thing to note is that while BitPay and Coinbase are Bitcoin processors, they don't have the same stringent application process that traditional merchant providers do. This is largely because there are no chargebacks when dealing with Bitcoin, so no reserves are required. While there is no central authority controlling Bitcoin, if you use these services to process Bitcoin payments, you still may be restricted in the type of services and items you accept Bitcoin payments for example, narcotics and firearms. To sign up with BitPay, you only need a few things. First, you'll need to provide your name, business name, and email address. Once you verify your email address, you enter some more business information. This is information like your business address and contact information. Once you take a minute to fill out the form, it's an automated application process, and I only had to wait a few moments to receive a confirmation email that I was set up. The last thing I needed to do was to set up an account with which to receive funds. You can use a bank account, Bitcoin address, or both. Unless you're familiar with the tax implications of Bitcoin, I suggest receiving all funds in local fiat currency. There are certain minimums that need to be met before settlement is made, which vary depending on what settlement method you use. For example, if you want to receive the money in Bitcoin, the minimum settlement amount is 0.01 BTC, which is approximately $3 right now. If you want to receive the money in US currency, the minimum settlement amount is $20. Settlements happen the day after funds are received, but it'll take 2 business days for the funds to appear in your bank account if using ACH. So in reality, that's a 3 business day turnaround for US funds. Now, the Quick application does come with its limits. You can only process up to $100 a day and up to $500 annually. This is fine for testing, but not at all good for any real business. BitPay has 3 tiers. The first requires a manual verification of the information you already provided, and that takes 1 to 3 business days and enables processing of up to $1,000 a day. After that, you can go up to tier 2 and 3, which require things like proof of address, incorporation documents, and photo IDs. Overall, it's much easier to get started accepting Bitcoin with BitPay than it is to set up a traditional merchant account. Different ways to accept Bitcoin using BitPay. There are 3 main ways to accept Bitcoin using BitPay. The first way is point-of-sale apps. BitPay has a mobile app you can use on iOS or Android devices. There's also the Quick Checkout for Web feature that lets you accept payments via desktops and laptops. For example, this is how you use Quick Checkout for Web. You enter the price and then click on Checkout. The customer can either send a payment by copy and pasting the address or scanning in the QR code. Within seconds of paying, you'll receive a confirmation that the invoice is paid. The second way to get paid is through client billing. This is the ability to send an online invoice that a customer can then pay. This is similar to the online invoicing feature you'd find in accounting software. The last way to get paid is through integrations. If I go to Payment Tools, you will see that there is Hosted Catalog, Payment Buttons, and Accept Donations, which are all very similar in that BitPay provides you some HTML code that you can copy and paste into your website. There are also other integration options where you can add BitPay to your shopping cart, like WooCommerce, your e-commerce site, like Shopify, or your online accounting software, like QuickBooks Online. I'll walk you through the QuickBooks Online integration to show you how easy it is to set up. Assuming you have a QuickBooks Online account and are signed up for QuickBooks Payments, go to Intuit's Pay by Coin site and sign in. You then just need to select the processor. I'll use BitPay and enter in the BitPay API key. To do that, go to BitPay and click on Settings. From there, you go to Legacy API Access Keys. Then click on Add New API Key, and an API key is generated. The memo can be edited to say something like QuickBooks Online to make it easy to track what the API key is for, but it can be left untitled. Then I just copy and paste the code into the Pay by Coin site and hit Submit. If all is good, the status will say Succeeded, and then Active. Then all you need to do is create an invoice in QuickBooks Online. You'll notice that when you save and send the invoice, you have to allow credit card or bank account payment options in order to have the Bitcoin selection checked as well. When a customer gets the invoice and clicks on the Pay Now button, they will see the various payment methods. By choosing Bitcoin, they'll have to then click on Next to get to the page where they can pay using Bitcoin. And then the customer can either send in the payment by scanning in the QR code or copying and pasting the address into their Bitcoin wallet. Once payment is made, the customer will get a confirmation a few seconds later. In QuickBooks Online, the invoice is marked as paid. However, since the invoice was not paid via credit card or bank account, the deposit won't necessarily be automatically matched to the invoice. I don't know if the step-by-step has scared you away from Bitcoin or showed you that setting up your business to accept Bitcoin is not too bad. I hope it's the latter. What I'd like you to walk away with is that you don't need to be a computer wizard to accept Bitcoin, but it can be tricky navigating all the issues, from exchange rates to security to wallets. I know I had and still have a ton of questions about Bitcoin. It's such a fast-moving technology. The killer app of today may end up a failed story tomorrow. So, if you have as many questions as I did, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll try to answer the best I can. That's it for this fourth video in the Bitcoin 101 for Small Business series. In the next video, I'll compare Bitcoin theory versus reality. Thanks for watching.